Another one of my concerns with the governors, the 1, 2, 3, 4, is that I don't see any mechanisms in there to evaluate whether or not these will work. In education, we are continually asked to basically evaluate whether or not we're performing, whether the students are getting the grades. But what's in the plan that's going to make sure that giving bonuses to math and science teachers achieves what we're looking for it to do? You know, where is the accountability on that end to say that by giving a math teacher $8,000 a year is going to, number one, bring good quality math teachers to our districts? Will it improve the pool of math and science teachers that we get out of colleges? Do you see what I'm getting at? Is that where is the accountability there to make sure that when we put in programs of, you know, $15 million, that it's appropriately being, I mean, where's our measurements there?
There probably isn't sufficient language in this bill. But when you look at Senate Bill 25 with the accountability standards that we're building in, I think that's really what we're looking for is, you know, every year teachers be evaluated, and administrators, make sure they're doing a good job.
But how do we know, Tom, how do we know that the program's working? How do we know giving somebody $8,000 is bringing them in? I mean, how are we going to measure that?
You know, I would comment just on my perspective. When they started, Tom was one of 6. They had 3 members from the House and 3 members from the Senate that formed a committee to help funnel the ideas to 1234, which again I thought was a great process that the governor agreed to that, was to take that input. I was hopeful. The concern I had about the math and science incentive as it was originally written was it was given to math and science for no other reason but you happen to be in the field of math or science. So in essence, and in fact, you could be giving that $3,500 to the worst teacher in the school district.
Right, I could have him his pink slip and his $3,500
right.
bonus.
So, you know, there was some consensus that they should come up with a different plan. I was hopeful, and it's still within the realm of possibility, that rather than that $3,500 being given arbitrarily with no measures, that they would work on the front end, even to the extent of scholarship reimbursements, and put criteria in, strings tied to that, you know, a commitment to teach in the state for 5 years, or a grade point average of a certain level, so that you could, if not require those qualifications in order to get that money, and have a double benefit of giving a scholarship to in areas of teachers that might really need it and would be incentivized to go into that field for that reason, and promote excellence in teachers coming into our system.
You know, and the second side of that is that although I am the first to agree, math and science are really incredible, but our school districts are comprised of a lot of, you know, I look at a first grade teacher that teaches our children how to read. You got to argue that that is incredibly important, that we have the best in there. Across the state, in the state board, is that agriculture teachers, and some of those, they're graduating, you know, something like 20 a year, and as fast as they, you know, come out of it, they're going to private sectors. So I guess what I would maintain is that go back to local control. Let us decide what we need to incentive. You know, right now I've got in Belle Fourche, you know, good math and science teachers, but I might need a music teacher, or an art teacher, or a kindergarten teacher, whatever I need.
And I think we can use the second part of that, the merit pay part to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you need to go looking for whatever kind of teacher you need, you can use those dollars. And I argued also to be able to expand that math and science deal to be able to do that. The feeling was we really wanted to keep that in the merit pay part of it, and keep the math and science separate, and try to just promote that. And I think in one instance is you get incentivize more students coming out and taking up math and science teaching professions, you raise the tide and everything improves. It'll take a few years to get there, and then we kind of reevaluate, maybe not, but I don't think we'll be short of math and science teachers forever, I hope, but we could kind of change that program to look at other avenues, but other categories, but I think there's a lot of flexibility in the merit pay that you could use that.
As long as, engineers are coming out of mines with math and science and making $80,000 a year to start, and we're paying less than 30 as a teaching profession, $8,000, I'm sorry, is still not going to pull those people into the teaching profession.
Now, I really like the tuition reimbursement part. I have a daughter that's a doctor, and the medical profession in a lot of different areas, they do that. They make an agreement with the local hospital that we'll pay so much of your tuition, and then you sign a contract that you'll come back and work here for the next
Right. Or you have to pay
years
it
or
back.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that works wonderfully well.
I think that's a great idea.
The only downside of that is I've observed, and I was in higher education for a few years, and the kids these days change their majors so often. I mean, they think they're going to be a teacher, and then they get on a course of study, and some professor really excites them, and so they change their major. So if you tie it to tuition reimbursement or whatever, and then you say, if you come out and teach for 5 years, if they decide to not teach, well, then they've got this debt that they have to pay back, and they're not going to be a teacher, and so that they would know that going in. But I think it used to be a very small percentage. People that wanted to get into teaching went into teaching, but now it's all over the board, and there's students I think change their major 70 or 70%.
But we give these guys
of the time.
$8,000. We say, okay, come to my district, and the state says, get $8,000, and then appropriations 2 years down the road says, we changed our mind. You don't get that $8,000 anymore. We're known to do that, guys. We do that all the time. We promise, and then it's gone.
Well, the physicians' reimbursement on their tuition, we have followed through, and I think we feel very strongly about that commitment. Hopefully, we would feel as strongly about this, because it is a long-term view as what we can do for education, and I'm hopeful that we can't tie down future legislation.
What about the scholarships that we promised
Yeah.
high school seniors? Those scholarships, if you do well, we'll give. And it's gone.
Yeah.
After we made those promises.
Well, the
to
opportunity
kids.
scholarships are still going on. We were going to pay for that through the cement plant, whatever, and that went away. And we took that instead of when that went away, we took it out of the general fund. And so that's those opportunity scholarships are still there when they were supposed to be funded by the cement plant. And so I think we're trying to follow through on those types of things. But there's nobody knew this recession was coming on or could predict it. And that happens in the private sector too. And so, there's a lot of private sector businesses that probably had to not give raises or had to cut back or cut employees. I mean, that's the economy, and there's no guarantees. And so I don't think we can guarantee, what we're going to do in education or the Medicaid providers when we don't know what the income's going to be.